For those of you that are familiar with my show, I do go off the reservation, obviously. I have many times spoken with my next guest, the fabulous Sall Grover. Sall, very quickly, as you know, the founder of the female-only app Giggle for Girls, found herself in a court case after a man, Roxanne Tickle, who identifies as a woman, sued Sall for discrimination after he was denied membership to her app. The Giggle case has been an ongoing Australian legal dispute. Arguing, and Sall has appealed this decision to the Australian Federal Court. The outcome is considered by many to be a significant moment in Australia's national conversation on women's rights, the definition of a woman, and the future of single-sex spaces in both online and physical environments. But of course, this is it's not just Sall's case. There is a lot going on globally still, and in Australia. And well, you know what? I just wanted to talk to my good friend Sall. So I thought, let's get her on the show again. Hello, Sall.
Hello, Leah. How are you?
I'm good. Look, I seriously, well, there's a lot going on, and that's why I wanted to talk to you. But I did want to talk to you because I just haven't talked to you for a long time. I hope you were good. How
I know,
are you?
and there's lots of stuff that's been happening since the last time we spoke, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of getting exciting. All of our hard work is starting to make an impact, which is
I
very
think
nice. More and more
so.
people are waking up every day and realizing that men aren't women, never have
Yeah.
been, and they've been sold a massive lie.
Where are you with your case, just quickly?
Well, so it's been just over 3 months now since the appeal hearing, and these decisions come out between 3 and 6 months. So it's sort of any day now we can be getting a decision, which is very exciting to sort of hopefully either this be the end of it, or there's still a chance we'd have to go to the High Court. But hopefully, no. I mean, I'm very optimistic that hopefully there's going to be some common sense brought back into everything, and women can be a legal class of human beings that men cannot identify into, and we can once again have women-only spaces, something that was so non-controversial for like 100 years.
Yeah, I know.
Suddenly some men decided they were women, and they've become this huge controversy, but they never were. They were just completely normal and accepted in society. So hopefully we're going to get back to that very, very soon.
I mean, I think from the first time I started on the platform and was introduced to you, your story, and spoke with you, I feel there is a shift. It might be because you and I now, well, you particularly, it's your world you're living and talking, and but I follow. I follow it a lot. I talk about it a lot. So I feel there is a shift, a positive shift, but we've still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, there's two things happening. There's more people realizing what's been going on. Simultaneously, there's more problems that are getting light shone on them. So for a while, there was no media that would give anything attention, and it was hard to find out anything. And so, and then even if we were finding out, if there were men in women's prisons or whatnot, or men in women's sports, it was just so hard to get all of the data. You'd know that they were there, but no one would then, when it came to it, no one would confirm it. And so then no one would report on it. But now people are coming forward with, there's more and more conversations being had, and especially in Australia, more politicians are speaking up, which is fantastic, because basically for a better part of a decade now, men have been freely going into women's spaces, whether it's change rooms, bathrooms, social networking platforms, prisons, our sports, our services. In Australia, lesbians can't have lesbian-only events, and this is all done apparently in the name of progress.
Yeah.
So it's actually very, I'll actually tell you exactly where I am right now. I'm in South Australia right now with Women's Forum Australia with Rachel Wong and Stephanie Sebastian. And we've just had the morning being on Parliament steps there, making sure that their Premier knows that the male that is in the women's prison needs to be removed. And I'm actually sitting at the Adelaide Women's Prison right now while I'm talking to you. I am, and we have a truck that says men who identify as women are being put in women's prisons. Tell our leaders to get them out. And there's currently a lot of police surrounding the truck, so it's very interesting what's happening while I'm speaking to you. But basically in South Australia, there's a man. He was convicted of of attempted murder. I believe, and I think he's got a life sentence. Claims to be a woman. He's been in a woman's prison for quite some time now. This one I'm sitting outside of, and he there's now been 4 women that have come forward since they've been released who have said that they've been attacked by him. Some sexual assault, some just physical attacks, some just sort of psychological attacks. So it's happening right now. We've and you know what's the problem is that you've still got some politicians that are saying this is a niche issue.
I know.
And it's like,
so am I right in
this
man who's housed in the women's prison in South Australia, Krista Richards? Is that it's Krista Richards, I think. Am I right?
Yes.
And you are right. Reports say they've got detailed allegations from the women in the prison of harassment, violence, sexual assault. I saw a story that said by Richards against 6 female inmates. Multiple female cellmates have spoken out, one describing her 5 months of sharing a cell with Richards as hell. And you are right. There's a premier, Peter Malinowskis. You guys have some lovely Greek names. Who's facing pressure from the likes of yourselves and people that have got their heads screwed on straight that man should not be in a woman's prison. But so far, it's been labelled a niche issue and not a priority.
Exactly. And this is the thing, is that you can have politicians literally in the same day say that violence against women is a big concern for them. They want to stop violence against women. They want to stop domestic violence. But then the moment the violence is happening at the hands of a man who claims to be a woman, suddenly it's a niche issue and they don't want to give it any attention.
Yeah.
And the problem is that any man can claim to be a woman. So anyone who thinks that these men who claim to be women actually are would have to then accept that these predatory men are also women, or have to go, maybe there are some men who are using these legal loopholes to their advantage to go and get sort of lighter sentences, better surroundings, and just access to vulnerable women. Because one of the reasons why the prison situation is so serious is that while obviously we're all fighting to be able to have single-sex bathrooms and change rooms and whatnot, we can opt out of them. We can choose to not. If we see that there's a man in there, we can not go in it.
Yeah.
These women don't have that option. As you said, one was locked in a cell with him for 5 months. Now, women's prisons exist for a reason. They didn't always. They're quite a modern thing. It was in the 19th century that women's prisons were introduced, and it was because it was cruel and unusual punishment to mix the sexes because the women were raped. And so it's all of these, everything that we do have in society that has sort of a single sex status, it's there for a reason. It's the leftover of, what was once, definitely in society there was sort of quite bad sex segregation and women couldn't be involved in things. But what's left over is the stuff that works. It's been tried and tested, and that's what we're fighting for, because it's just been completely destroyed by this lie that is transgenderism.
I see that in the Northern Territory, their chief minister, I think it's Leah Panapa, has banned biological males from women's prisons in response, and is now calling on other states to follow suit. And there's also been recent news of a convicted pedophile being moved to a women's facility in Victoria because they identify as female. What?
Yeah, it's quite horrific. That story, I in a way, I wish I'd never read the story because it's so graphic, so horrific what he did to his own daughter. Tasmania has actually just come out in the last day and said that they will not allow males in female prisons. Off the back of, there was a man who had sexually abused his 3-year-old daughter while wearing women's clothing while doing it, and then demanded access to a women's prison, and they said no, and updating their policies to ensure that no males can go into a women's prison. So this, as I was saying, these are some predatory, the worst of the worstmen who are trying to use these legal loopholes to gain access to the most vulnerable women. I mean, it's basically, if you let a male sex offender into a women's prison, you're not punishing him for his crimes. You're rewarding him. You're putting the fox in the henhouse.
Yeah.
And we've got Australia's Sex Discrimination Commissioner is completely on side with doing it. Completely on side. When she's been asked in the Senate recently for the pedophile in Victoria, if she thought he was a woman, yes. that he claims to be a woman, he's a
Oh,
woman.
Sal, that story, that pedophile, that is, I am just, I want to just say all these
Yeah.
terrible things that, come with oxygen thief, shouldn't be alive, all that kind of stuff. Look, I just wanted to also touch on a couple of other cases, if you could talk about them or a bit of them. There's is it a former family court chief justice, Diana Bryant, who now she approved puberty blockers for gender diverse children in 2013. But am I correct in saying she's now come out saying she has doubts about that ruling? Has she seen the light?
Exactly what has happened. That is exactly what's happened. And it's there's quite a devastating irony, I think, in her coming out and saying that, basically she regrets that decision because it's puberty blockers. And this is children who take puberty blockers and end up regretting them, don't have a pathway back. They're not reversible as they were sold. The specific case she regrets is one called Jamie, and it's from 2013. It's around when the Sex Discrimination Act amendments for men to be classed as women happened. And the Sex Discrimination Commission actually intervened in that case on the side of puberty blockers. And one of the reasons that she did basically give the decision that she did is because she thought that the Australian Human Rights Commission's Sex Discrimination Commission was coming from a place of truth and fact, not realizing that it had been completely ideologically captured, and it still is to this day.
Wow.
And so while it's good that somebody, I think it's brave of her to speak up and say that she has doubts from that decision, because, you could be quite sort of unforgiving to her because of the serious nature of her. But I think we shouldn't be. I think that, we've got to understand that mistakes can happen, and in 2013 we didn't know what we know now. So I'd very much welcome her saying it. But at the same time, as I said, I mean, the young people who detransition because they realized they were sold a lie, there's nothing, there's no way back. You can't. Puberty doesn't happen later. There's a brief moment in time when our bodies go through puberty, and if you pause that, it's not like it happens then at 22.
Yes.
And also, who wants to go through puberty at 22?
Yeah.
So it really does impact these people's lives forever. Yeah.
Forever. No, you are right. It is 2013, long time ago. She at that stage, and you're right. There's no point chastising someone who now has turned around and said, I shouldn't have. I don't agree with that now. She's even cited new research on teenage brain development and the long-term effects of treatment. So, but this one's a doozy, Sal. And I don't know if my listeners have been up to, have heard this one. So Jennifer Buckley, formerly Adrian, is trans. After his wife gave birth via IVF, induced lactation and produced breast milk with which he fed their baby. Enter Jasmine Sussex, who's a former counsellor for the Australian Breastfeeding Association. She rightly publicly criticised Buckley's actions, calling delusional queer theory and asserting that men cannot breastfeed. Correct. Now, Buckley then filed a vilification complaint against Jasmine, alleging that the comments incited hatred or serious contempt towards him for his gender identity. So this has gone. So this is going to court, or this is in court.
It's going through. It's the Queensland Human Rights Tribunal is who it's going through, and I apologise to any of your listeners who didn't know about this story, and now their lives have just been turned upside down for hearing that this absolutely revolting thing happens.
Yes.
That if anyone's wondering why would a male person want to breastfeed a child, that the instinct you're having of what they're doing is correct. I mean, this is child abuse. This is, if not pedophilia, a very close neighbor to it. And any woman who has had a baby would know that there is so much pressure around breastfeeding and not using formula and breast is best and
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
completely natural, and how much there is so much pressure.
Yeah.
But then to have these men putting chemicals into themselves and saying that this is good for a baby. No, this is using
Oh,
a baby as a prop for your identity, for a lie. Like men can't breastfeed children. I don't know
no,
what else
no.
to say. It's just it's really quite sick. And I mean, hopefully, I think the fact that Jasmine has stood up and fought back
Yes.
is
Yeah.
for making people realize that this is actually happening, that not only are these men wanting to breastfeed babies, they're trying to punish any woman who objects to it. That's how crazy things have gotten. And I mean, all we can do is stand up and bring attention to it and to get normality back. But I can't fathom how anyone is defending him. I really can't. It makes no
I
sense to
just,
me.
I
Like,
mean,
everyone has to have a line, surely.
yeah, he's used hormones and drugs to bring on some form of lactation. I don't know what
Yeah.
his body is producing that he's now fed this poor baby, but how, I mean, ethically it's wrong, but how is this medically legal? What doctor went, who helped him do it? This is what I don't understand.
I know. You just, of all the things, someone went, you know what? No, I don't want to find a cure for cancer. I'm going to dedicate my
Yeah,
time to try and make
yeah,
men lactate.
yeah. I,
Of all the problems you could
of all
solve.
the problems as a doctor you could have done, oh no,
Yeah.
I'll help you, bloke. I mean, it is
Yeah.
phenomenal. And again, it's one of these things where any outcome, there's so many things that would set a precedent, including medical practices, surely, and how it's regulated. And also for Jasmine Sussex, who spoke out. I mean, again, free speech, I mean, if whatever
Exactly. And
happens,
it's just that
sorry, keep going.
it's another example of just women having their lives turned upside down and dragged through expensive and lengthy court cases simply for stating reality.
Yeah.
Like, she hasn't said anything controversial. She hasn't said anything that it's like as close as possible to 100% of the population agrees with. It's the person who should be being investigated is any man who's trying to breastfeed a baby. Like, this is how inverted gender ideology makes everything so inverted. It's because it's trying to make something that is not reality. So everything gets turned upside down, and you just sit there so many times going, am I going insane? Like, has the world ended and this is hell? Like,
Yeah.
what has happened?
I think what also really turns my stomach with this particular story is, yes, we discuss men standing in front of a woman, saying, I am a woman and I want you to tell me I'm a woman. But this involves, and it's when it involves children and babies. And to me, this should be a locked up offence. Aren't you endangering your child?
Anyone who wants to go and sort of research more about what's going on, they should spend a bit of time. It's not fun, but spend a bit of time researching the condition autogynephilia, which is the paraphilia sexual fetish when a man is aroused at the idea of himself when that he's a woman. And the thing about these sort of fetishes and paraphilias is they often come in pairs, and other fetishes are things like sexualizing children. So when you start to look at the research that some really brave people have been able to put together, you do start to see that it's less surprising when you know the information, let's say that. But it's why we've been trying to tell everybody who's all in on this, going, no, like, you have been lied to, and you're now you're not a champion for this vulnerable demographic. You are championing the worst people in society who are using this lie to manipulate you.
Yeah. I'm sure you've also seen the story of the woman in America in was it LA Gold's Gym, Tish Hyman, and I talked about it last week when she first was asked to leave the Golds after a man walked in claiming to be a woman, and she was standing there naked, and I tell you what, Sal, she's a warrior. like yourself. She is.
She's really cool. Yeah.
She is very cool, and she came out, at Stanton, and she stands up. She goes, I'm a lesbian, I'm a black woman, but I will not have a man, in the women's
Hmm.
changing room. And then, of course, she got Golds took the man's side, but consequently,
Hmm.
it has just snowballed. She is. The latest one I saw today was she had a meeting in a room with a lot of people with some senator or someone, and
Senator Scott Weiner. Yeah.
that Wiener. I said Wiener. Was it
Yeah.
Weiner, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, who knows? Who knows? It should be Weiner.
Senator
He's all
Wiener.
in on.
And
He's all in. Yeah, he's all in on all of this stuff.
the
He's quite
way he
horrible about it all.
treated her, Sal, like
Yeah.
she sat very I liked it because she actually wrote down, because she's quite, she can get, she winds up quickly, and that's fine. So I love that at the beginning when she sat there, she'd written it down, and she, presented herself quietly and said, this is a blah, blah, blah. And then when he just turned around and said that, and then she wound up, she said, no, what are you going to do to protect women? We deserve. And he said, all I remember him saying was, before I went, what? He said something like, trans women deserve to be protected as well, and a lot of times they're marginalised. And she just went, what?
Yes, because this is what they've tried to do to just sort of, it's just to end the conversation, so they don't just say what. They just have these slogans. They'll just go, well, trans women are women and all women should be protected. And it's like, but that's not tackling the issue at all.
Yeah.
Because to actually talk about this properly, we have to use correct language and acknowledge reality. Now, I think that anyone can call themselves whatever they want. Like if you're a guy who wants to call yourself a woman, because that's what gets you out of bed in the morning, even if I really despise the reason of why you want to say it, I can't control what you say about yourself. Have fun.
Yeah.
But in law has to reflect reality. And
Yes.
politicians, legislators, they are responsible for ensuring that the law reflects reality. And so when they just try to dismiss it by saying trans women are women and all women need to be protected, well, okay, then follow-up question to that is, how are you going to protect women from convicted male domestic abusers who now call themselves women and go into our change rooms and watch us while we're naked? What's the plan? They don't have one, and they know they don't have one. And so instead of admitting that or doing anything about it, they just resort to these cliches to end the conversation, to get someone like Tish angry so they can go, oh, look, there's the irrational woman getting angry. We can dismiss her, which is exactly what they did. But I don't think they actually won that debate. I think she very much did. She held herself very well. And she is quite inspiring, and I hope that it shows more women that, yes, if you speak up about this, there is a chance that there will be some backlash. That it won't be easy. But you can sleep really well at night knowing that you have stood up for what is right, and whether it's for yourself or for your daughters or sisters, that it's important. And it's not just women that need to stand up, it is men as well. And I get messages every day from dads detailing what is happening, whether their daughter's sports or their daughter's change rooms, and they're going, what can I do? And I'm like, speak up.
Yes.
If you go and talk to the school, cause a scene.
Yeah.
Be heard, because if they won't do anything if they think everybody is just accepting it, because that's what they're hoping, is that we all just accept it, that we just get too tired of dealing with the nonsense. And it's like, I'm like, I don't know if many people have ever dealt with women who actually know they're right and want everyone to realize that they're right. We don't back down.
No, and I'm glad you mentioned.
Anyone who's married to a woman understands.
Oh yeah, would know that. I'm glad you mentioned men actually, Sal, because I just had a text from one of my listeners, Nick, who said my daughter is 14 and has a girl in her class that is trans, so it's a boy. We had a conversation regarding what will happen on the school camp. Will this boy-girl be put in a tent with the boys overnight or with the girls? I explained to my daughter that it is not safe for a young girl to be put in this position, and the reason why I feel very sad for that young girl and feel that her parents are not fit to be parents. So, yeah, I mean, they're dealing, parents are dealing with this.
Yes, and I mean, raising children is complicated and tricky enough. You're dealing, especially when they're growing up, you're dealing with hormones and just them exploring the world and changing. You always wanting to make sure that they're safe. while also saying, that you have to give them more independence, and then they've got this on top of everything else, and it's just because it's not real. Like it's not. There's not an actual demographic in society who were born in the wrong body. I mean it when I say the whole thing is a lie, and it's just people have been caught up in this lie. There's no little boy who is really a girl. You are your body. Like we are just. We are who we are, and you could be a little boy who is feminine, who likes things that are stereotypically for girls. That's fine.
It's totally fine.
That would be great if we were having conversations about how let's just get rid of some stereotypes. There are some stereotypes that exist for a reason, but there's some that don't need to be there. I wouldn't have any problem if there was, little boys who like princess things and everything. You don't have to lie to him. You don't have to medicalize him. Or the girls who don't like
have to transition him to a girl.
You just live in, like, when they're sort of the LGBTQI plus activists are always like, live and let live. And it's like, that's a great idea. Why don't you do that? Why are you medicalizing people who actually just have potentially certain interests or have actually fallen into what sort of best described as a cult?
Sal, so Adelaide at the moment, which obviously isn't your home city, sitting outside a women's prison, you finding yourself in some strange places.
I know,
but
it's so crazy. Because my daughter has actually come down with me for this trip, and she's only 3, and I sort of was laughing while we were on the plane yesterday because I was like, she's going to say to me one time, have I ever been to Adelaide? And I'll go, yeah, you have actually. Why did we go? And I'm like, because it was a man in a woman's prison, honey. So we went down to get him out.
And Mummy went down there to talk and get the guy out. Hey, so where are you with that? So what's going to happen? I mean, you're there. You've brought light to it. What's the next step?
Well, it's going to be really interesting because the Premier here has basically said that it's just a niche issue and it's something he's not given any thought to. And so it was a pretty stupid thing for him to say, especially as Northern Territory and Tasmania are now coming out and saying absolutely no way that we will not have men in women's prisons. So I suppose it's a race now to see if it's going to be Western Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland or South Australia who's going to be the last one to look like a fool. So it's like, let's see, because I think they're all going to start falling into line and not wanting to be the last one standing looking completely stupid. Although if I had to pick a state where that will happen, it's Victoria. So it's just putting pressure and just do the right thing. Because the thing people also have to understand, like the argument that is used is that men who claim to be women are too vulnerable in men's prisons. That is simply not true. Men's prisons actually deal with lots of vulnerable men. There are, like, young men are vulnerable, old men are vulnerable, ill men, former gang members, police officers, gay men, and pedophiles. Like, they actually are all very vulnerable. So prisons, and for very different reasons, obviously. But so male prisons are actually, for the most part, designed to deal with different vulnerable demographics of men. These men who claim to be women are just another vulnerable male demographic and should be dealt with in male prisons.
Accordingly,
yes, as I said, like, women's prisons exist for a reason. It's like how women's sport exists for a reason. Women's bathrooms, everything exists for a reason. It's because it is the most civil way to run society.
Yeah. And on that, Sal, Nick's come back saying, awesome, Sal. I'm going to make a bit of a scene now. We'll start with the email to the school. Love your work. Says Nick.
Fantastic. That's a great idea. And honestly, I'm actually have had some success in New Zealand of giving that advice to people. I've got a friend who has daughters in a school in Christchurch, and the little girls weren't going to the bathroom at school because they only had unisex bathrooms. And I said, that's not acceptable. I got her in touch with some people in New Zealand. They told her what to say, and within 5 days, the school had a girls' bathroom.
Sall Grover.
So it's possible. People will do things. Girl. You just have to make them aware.
Exactly. Always a pleasure, Sal. Next time.
Thank you so much, Leah.
Next time you come to New Zealand, obviously, we will catch up, or maybe I'll come to Adelaide and sit outside a prison with you. I would love that.